Pearson with Southside First, and this is our weekly Echala Gas workshop where we help small businesses kind of step on the gas and get their businesses ramped up to the next level. Today, my guest is James Cox. Hey, James.
Hello. Hi, thanks for having me.
And he's going to tell us all about his new business. So, just a second, and then I want to talk about our sponsors first. Women Unlimited International is the sponsor of our show. They sponsor this podcast, and they meet quite frequently. They meet every Thursday at their headquarters here in San Antonio near 410 and Broadway. And if you want to check them out, it's womenunlimitedsa.com for more information. So for women business owners or women who don't own businesses, but you want to get out and make some friends and meet some new people, I would strongly recommend that you look into that. And it's actually an international organization now because they do so much online. So check that out. And so today, James, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks
for being here. Yeah, no, this is great. I'm excited to talk to you. So tell everybody about your business, the name of your business.
So I am a veteran-owned business. It's called 210 Tactical Advantage, and it's a firearms and self-defense training business. We do beginners firearm training, so it's your first shot ever. You've never handled a firearm before. We do specialized training for that. It's a 4-hour class. It's $75. I also do couples classes. So if you and your spouse or your significant other want to learn together, we can do that as well. So yeah.
Learn to fight other people off, not learn how to fight each other.
Yeah. Don't go at each other, but yeah. So you're learning to defend yourselves against other people. And I make you sign a waiver stating that. Right?
Oh, okay. So, okay, that's good.
So yeah, we just have all kinds of training classes, and in fact, last weekend for self-defense.
You had your first class last week.
Yeah, I had my first self-defense seminar last weekend, and basically it's for men, women, and teens over 16, and we talk about topics like how do criminals recognize, or how do they pick their victims, right? So there's 10 things they look for when they're picking their victims, and things like lack of confidence, you're by yourself, it's dark, maybe you just left an ATM and they're following you, those kind of things, right?
It's not like they went to a class to learn how to do this. People who are criminals or whatever, they just instinctively know this because this is just how they are, but we don't think that way.
Yeah, no.
So we don't even think about a lot of that stuff. So I saw the list of all the things you taught in that class, and the idea is it's just surroundings, awareness, that type of thing. So that, and then you learn some open hand combat, right?
So that's a follow-up to the seminar. So the seminar is this lecture-based seminar. The follow-up is classes that I teach with options for self-defense, like firearms training, empty hand, self-defense training, those kind of things. So I can do group classes for organizations if you want to put something on for your organization, especially for your employees, nurses, doctors, people who work late at night, that kind of things, college campuses,
that's great.
For night classes. I also do private lessons. I can schedule those as well. So I have a facility on the south side. They're off of Military in South Flores. We have a classroom there with access to a gymnasium and a social hall, so I can actually put things on there as well.
Well, that's good. So tell me a little bit about being a veteran-owned business. So you're officially a certified veteran-owned business, right?
Yes. So.
And so what advantage does that get you for the small business owners that are scratching their heads? What does that get for them?
Well, I think, what do you call it? I'm trying to think of the word. Credibility. Yeah, credibility. Just credibility, as that you're a legitimate business, you're trained.
But I also heard, just FYI, that some organizations who are looking for contractors to come in and do things that they need them to do are by design saying we're going to give preferences to veteran-owned, women-owned, and minority-owned businesses.
Yeah.
So that right there kind of gets you a place in line.
Yeah. So I kind of I came up with the idea for the business with my background being military, also a law enforcement instructor.
Oh wow.
And had been for about 30 years. So I have that wide experience, right? And then my wife, she does the the managing side of it, right?
Oh, okay.
And she kind of tells me like, hey,
You get the fun part.
Yeah.
She
So
gets the back office part.
she's the one that tells me like, okay, you're not charging enough, or you're charging too much, or.
But your intro class is very affordable, right? It's
Yes.
$10?
So yeah, it's $10 per person for the seminar, right?
Which
It's
is
just
just sit there and listen to me.
exactly
class.
right. I have a little PowerPoint presentation, and we talk about scenarios and situational awareness and what to look for. We also talk about how to be prepared mentally to defend yourself. So that's the main thing. You have to want to defend yourself, right?
Right.
And sometimes that's dirty, eye pokes and whatever the case may be. But think about it. You don't want to be a victim. So,
And for women, I tell you, and I studied martial arts, and so for women, the thing is it's kind of ingrained to us. We're nurturers. It's not nice to hit. We're not used to taking a hit, and so I think that the biggest thing is you can't be afraid to throw a punch or strike, and then when somebody hits you, you can't just fall apart. You got to keep it together.
Yeah.
First of all, dodge the hit. Don't ever let anybody hit you.
And luckily,
right?
when you're in a situation like that, your adrenaline's going to take over
Yeah.
too. Your adrenaline's going to kick in. You may not feel, the hits and that kind of thing, but
As long as you know where to strike,
yeah,
it's not that hard, especially if the attacker's a man.
And that's where this lecture leads to
Right.
the follow-up classes, where I have scheduled classes and seminars or physical workshops, where
Right.
we're learning hands-on techniques, defending against chokes and grabs and hair pulls, and defend against carjackings and attempted carjackings. We also home invasions, how to protect yourself from home invasions. Here in San Antonio alone, I think in the past few years there have been 3 or 4 home invasions in broad daylight, where they pretend to be a CPS worker or a SAWS employee or something like that. Hey, you have a gas leak, come check. And sadly, some people are older people or naive, or they say, okay, you look official, you have a clipboard, come on in. And just as that happens, 2 other guys come from around the corner, they barge their way in, and now you're being tied up, you're being robbed, sometimes worse. And so I go over things of how to not be that victim in that situation.
Yeah.
I teach you those kind of things
So
too.
never answer your door.
Exactly.
So, and this is a little bit off a trail here, but so we hear about stuff on the news. Well, obviously with the crime, gangs of people are going in and robbing businesses. And then I heard at one of the famous coffee brands, somebody got fired because he protected the other employee and he clobbered the robber. But then he got fired. So as far as businesses go, I don't know if you go into that. Obviously, there's legal ramifications of teaching your employees how to respond to workplace violence. So you just let them handle that? I mean, you teach them the basics of, if you have to defend yourself, this is what you do.
Yeah.
But then the company will say, okay, but here's the policy on that.
Well, yeah, but when it comes down to it, though, ultimately, you're a private citizen still.
It's better to be alive than
You're still a private
fired.
citizen. You still have the right to defend yourself as a private citizen.
Right.
Some of them, I've heard of gas station attendants defending themselves and being fired for that because it wasn't their policy is let them take the money. It's not worth it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But then nothing happens to them. Yeah, they get fired, but legally they defend themselves. They were within their rights to legally defend themselves. So that's and something else that I also mention at the end of my courses is like self-defense insurance. That's actually a thing. So you have insurance for your vehicle, but you also have self-defense insurance. So if you do find yourself after a situation where you defended yourself either with a firearm or say with just your hands, and you hurt the guy, you broke a bone, or whatever the case may be, you have an option to have insurance for self-defense. So
in case you get sued?
In case you get sued by the family, by the individual. I've heard of people, several years ago, somebody broke into, in the middle of the night, this intruder broke into someone's house, and they had a Rottweiler. The guy ended up he got attacked by the Rottweiler. He was in very, very bad shape. Well, he actually sued the homeowner against her homeowner's insurance policy and won, sadly, which I'm not kidding you, yeah. So that's where it'd be a good situation to have self-defense insurance. We talk about that. So
and this may be too detailed, but like if you have an umbrella policy, it would have to specifically state self-defense?
Well, no. So this company,
Oh, it's a separate company.
it's a separate company.
Okay.
All they do is provide self-defense insurance. Yeah.
Wow.
So if you carry a firearm, if you have a bat in your car, if you're walking down the street, you defend yourself.
Is that for businesses too? Let's say I come to you, I'm a startup business, and this is the issue at hand. Am I covered under we had Sandra Gonzalez last week talking about business insurance, so this ties right in. I would have to make sure something like this would be covered under my insurance, or does this person here offer insurance for businesses?
I'm not sure about that, honestly,
Okay.
but on an individual basis, ultimately that's what you're worried about is
Right.
in the end run, at the end, the company, they're wash their hands of you. That's why they fire these
But they
employees.
can still be sued.
If
I'm the clerk and
they
I shoot the
can-
guy and kill him,
Yeah.
they're going to sue the company. They're not going to sue me. I mean, they could try to sue
well,
me.
they happens all the time where they try to sue the person who hurt the family member or the.
So messed up.
It is, but it happens. So.
Okay.
So I go over that. I even bring in guest speakers, to talk about these kind of things and the legal ramifications. And we talk about in my classes. We talk about Texas law on self-defense. That's a big thing. The rights you have to defend yourself in Texas, right?
That's good to know.
Yeah. So I go over those laws. Defense of yourself, defense of a third person, defense of your neighbor's property. These are all things that you have rights to, right? If you see somebody getting beat up, you can jump in and legally defend that person because obviously they're not
Right.
able to, right? So,
Right.
but this is all covered
But
under
you
state
might not
law.
do that if you're worried about getting in trouble.
Exactly. People stay out of their business. They're like, hey, it doesn't concern me. But just know, in Texas, you have a right to defend a third person, somebody who's not.
That's good to know.
Yeah, so you have that right here in
Because
Texas.
sometimes in a situation, especially if you have a gun, a situation like that, you might just react instinctively.
But my classes, we also talk about use of force laws, right? What can you do against somebody, for example, if here's a scenario, right? It's you versus me, right? I'm the attacker, so I'm much taller than you, right? You're smaller, in stature, maybe you don't have any experience, so you are allowed to use more force than the normal person would against me to defend yourself, right?
Oh.
Now, vice versa, if you attack me, well, I have to use less force, right?
There's probably a term for that, right?
So
Reasonable or something like that.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't take much.
Excuse me. Yeah. So, but we talk about those kind of things too.
No, that
How
makes
much
sense.
force can you use? Excuse
So
me.
pretty much for a woman, if
Yeah.
it's a guy, you just pretty much go all out.
Yeah, you can defend yourself. So
Okay.
that's just know that you can defend yourself here in Texas, and
I know.
we talk about all
One
that
of the
stuff.
good
So
things
yeah.
about Texas. The allergies in San Antonio aren't that great, but the gun laws in Texas are pretty good. So we've got that part. So you just started your business. One day I see you, you're doing one thing. The next day I see you, and you got your business put together, and then you got your veteran certification, and you got your classes going. And
Yeah.
so it was like, wow, that just kind of happened very quickly. So you're a startup business owner. So if I was a startup business owner and you wanted to give me some advice or any heads up about something just in general, what would you share with me?
Well, share it with all your friends and family first, and have them put it out as well.
Oh, as far as marketing.
It's marketing,
Let people
yeah,
know.
exposure, that kind of thing. But
Okay.
it's good to have a place secured before you start all this. For example, so I'm teaching classes out of a Harlandale Methodist Church on the south side, right? And I have a classroom. I'm working on getting that set up and getting all that decorated and everything put up to get ready to do classes. I also secured the facilities to be able to do bigger classes, so I have access to a half-court gymnasium at that same church.
Oh, wow.
I have access to a social hall that can seat up to 85 people. So, so you want to make sure you have everything lined up before you start advertising for classes. And then
Okay.
the second thing is look for organizations that can use your services.
It's a challenge, right?
And then approach businesses that can use your services.
Yes,
That's
yes.
a big thing. Is like
And so that's where your veteran certification comes in handy.
they
Especially
acknowledge
with
that and
state or federal or local, whatever.
and just being a veteran-owned business, it speaks higher volumes,
Right.
and especially in what I'm doing when it comes to firearms training and self-defense. I have that background, the military background,
Right.
as validation that
Right.
I'm
Right.
qualified
You've got the
to
credentials,
exactly to
definitely.
speak on what I'm teaching, and then yeah, just look for businesses that can use it. Who can use their services, and that's probably a good thing. So, and I'm still working on it. It's a slow process, and but every day I try to talk to 5 or 6 different people or businesses, and say, hey, this is what I do. This is the benefit it has for your employees or for your staff or whatnot, and let me know if we can work together. So
Right. Right. And so, how do people reach you if they want to get a hold of you, your business? If they're
so
interested?
I'm on Facebook. It's 210 Tactical Advantage on Facebook, and then also you can reach me directly. My cell is 210-643-0903.
Okay.
And yeah, if you want to put together a class for your organization or just do a lecture, for example, just teaching you the principles of self-defense, just basic stuff, no hands-on stuff if you're worried about people getting injured, whatnot.
Which I could see would be great for something like a hospital, like you said. We've got
Yeah.
the women that work at night, the nurses, and they're walking out in the dark parking lot. I think in general, I would like to think that women are kind of a little more safety cautious.
Yeah.
You gotta look in the back seat, make sure nobody's in there, kind of stuff.
Exactly.
But it just helps with the confidence to know that if somebody were to grab me, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah, that's
thing,
the
right?
main thing. And
Okay.
so that's something else I talk about in so I do a seminar called Refuse to be a Victim, and we talk about mental preparation, right? So you're walking to your car, you walk out of the building, it's dark, you're walking through the parking lot, and your mind is constantly thinking of scenarios and what will you do in this scenario, right? I call it scripting, right? So just your mental preparation, like, okay, if someone comes up from behind the car, I'm gonna go this way, or I'm gonna walk down the middle of the aisle versus right behind the cars,
Right,
to give myself
exactly.
more time to
Right.
react to someone coming out, right? So you're just always thinking ahead of what you're gonna do, how you're gonna get out of it. Like if for example, I recently just got my certification to teach active shooter response now, so I can do active shooter response training. If for schools,
Okay.
churches. So if you have an active shooter, they come in, right? I just got that
Well,
recently.
you would go to them probably. You go to the school. And
Yeah,
you would
so I
teach
can
the
go to
staff
your location and do
or your business.
about a 2 hour, 2 and 4 hours lecture on active shooter response training. What are you gonna do? How do you react? That kind of thing. And so one thing is, for example, if and I do it just from my military background, but you go into a restaurant, I always
Never sit with your back to the door.
I want to face the door. I want to see what's happening exactly, and also look for exits. Where are the exits at besides the main exit?
Yeah.
Entrance. You want to look for fire escapes and other things like that, and we talk about those things as well.
Well, and it's funny. I don't know if it's the military background or the martial arts training, but I told my son we're going to church. I said, let's sit in the back row. He goes, why do you want to sit in the back row? I said, because if somebody comes in shooting, no one will be able to get out of here. It's a lot of people.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I'm also going to start a program to teach church security teams, right? So a lot of churches, after what happened in Houston and Sugarland and all these places, right? So they're developing church security teams where you have members here in Texas that can legally carry, right? They can still carry, and you put together a team of 4, 6, or 8 people, and you put them in the church. So you have, for example, you'd have 2 sitting in the back pews on the ends. You'd have 2 in the middle and 2 up front.
Unless you're a mega church, in which case you got a lot more than that.
Yeah, you can have 8, 12.
Yeah. No,
you want to keep it reasonable because they have to know who the other persons are other people are, and where they're at. So you have to know.
It's not like you can put the red armband.
Yeah, no. These people just blend in, and nobody knows who they are. Even the people in the church don't know who they are. This is a team that even the people in the church don't know who they are, right? So I can come to your church, right? We do this training. Right?
Have you marketed with churches yet?
I haven't, so I just actually got my certification yesterday. So I just got it yesterday.
How come you haven't marketed?
I just got it yesterday, so I'm gonna start reaching out to churches and sadly, I passed a church a few weeks ago on Sunday by my house, and I saw they had security outside, and I've never seen that in the 18 years we lived on that side of town. I've never seen a security guard outside of this church, and it happened right after Houston. So now that's fine and well, but it's still necessary to have a
Yeah.
secret team inside, a security team, inside, because the guy outside could be out there, but he's going to be the first target.
Yeah, I understand. Like in Houston, I don't remember the details now. That wasn't that long ago, but they caught the guy in the lobby versus in the sanctuary, because that could have been really, really bad. And then of course we've got the Uvalde situation, which still is very.
So yeah, that's something I'm passionate about. In fact, I'm doing this. The initial training of this active shooter training is free.
So
I'm doing it free.
Technically, then it's possible for you to do nothing but active shooter training for businesses, churches, schools.
If that's something they're interested in, yeah. So, and the key thing is, like I said, this is free. I got the training for free, right? So I'm giving this two to three.
Oh, you're giving the active shooter.
The active shooter training is free training. Yes, I'm doing it for free because we received it for free.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's how they prefer you do it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so there's no excuse.
There's no excuse. It's a free 2 hour, between 2 and 4 hours, probably closer to 4 hours, right, of active shooter response training that I'm giving to churches.
And so what
hospitals.
You're getting at it from a marketing, put my marketing hat on, is you've got all of these people in front of you that says, oh, he also does this and this and this.
Well, and so that's
safety.
the thing. So I'll come in and do a free 2 hour, between 2 and 4 hour training seminar for your security team, for your church or hospital, whatever, right? But then I follow that up with situational training. So we come in there. I can come in there with jelly ball guns. It's fire automatic, right? And
to practice.
We come in there and do actual scenario training. So
sounds like fun.
So we give the security team, say for example, they're each going to have their own little pistol, right? It shoots gel balls, little jelly balls, right? They're harmless and don't. It's like a rubber band snap, right? They don't sting at all. And then we have they're in the church, and then we have our quote unquote attacker come in, with his same little jelly ball gun, right? And we do the scenario training, right? Now you may think, this is gonna be fun, but it's intense.
No, I think once you get
I will come in there yelling, screaming, and just firing this automatic jelly ball
once
gun.
you're in the real situation, I think
it
becomes very real, like being on the hand grenade range at basic training. It becomes real.
So it's called simulated trainings. We do simulated active shooter training. It's very intense, and that's something we can do also for say high schools, the upper levels of high school, and then colleges as well. So what happened in Virginia Tech, there was, I want to say 5 classrooms that were all targeted. One of those classrooms, everybody survived in that classroom because, right, they heard what was happening, they barricaded the door, they got cover, that kind of thing. Exactly, right? So I teach you how to do those things too, right? How to avoid, the active shooter. You deny them access to your area, right, by locking the doors, barricading, and then if possible, if you have to, you defend yourself, right? So you put yourself in a situation where you can actually attack this guy, and so I go over all that training as well. So but
no, that's great because but for the show, I was thinking to myself, you did the classes for individuals, but now thinking of it from a business owner's perspective, if it's free training. And if you have a business that's open to the public and people come in, banks or whatever, I'm sure they may have their own internal training, but for a small business that doesn't have training to cover that.
Yeah. Even we have a mall on our side of town, South Park Mall. They have had a few shooting situations happen in the past year or so.
Well, we were in the office, just real quick sidebar, and we heard this, and I'm like, okay, that sounds like semi-automatic gunfire to me, because I've been basic training, I've been around, and one girl's like, no, I lived on the east side, that's not gunfire, that's a blown tire. And we're like, okay, so we just sat there and kept eating our lunch.
Well, that's something that happens, is people deny what's happening in their minds.
I almost looked out the window. Long story short, a lady come in. Oh my God, this guy was robbing the guy. So the guy in the ATM defended himself and he killed 2 people. And, we look out the window and there's all the cops and everything. And I'm like, oh, that's lovely.
And that's the first step to an active shooter situation. Your response is denial. You're like, oh, that's a tire, or oh, that's a backfire, or oh, that's something.
Well, because our brain
else.
Is trying to make an association, and if you're not familiar with gunfire, you're going to associate that with something.
So you deny it at first, and then afterwards, you start to deliberate and be like, okay, well, maybe it is. Now we're going to take action, and we're going to hide. We're going to, we're going to take cover.
Is it best to hide or best to run? Depending on the situation.
Depending on the situation, right? So if you're in a situation where this is happening, you can hear shots coming out from the other side of the mall. Well, get out run if you can,
Okay.
right? If say it's happening, like Virginia Tech or whatever, well then you don't. If it's a situation where it's right there, down the hallway, well hide as best as you can, right? If you can, barricade the door. If it has a lock, lock it, right? And that's something else that I talk about in my training is options for security, for these doors. Nowadays, a lot of doors are, people added a lot of locks after Uvalde and Virginia Tech and all these things. They added extra locks, right? But I talk about all that in my training as well.
Right.
So
because I think ideally a shooter's not going to stop and try to mess with a locked door. They're just going to go on.
If it's locked and barricaded, they're not going to mess around with pushing it in because they know the cops are going to be there pretty soon.
Right. So they're going to go to the next available.
Yeah.
Okay.
And something else to talk about too is the average response time in the U.S. to active shooter situation is 3 minutes for that. But a lot can happen in 3 minutes. And 3 minutes is going to go by super slow.
How many bullets can you shoot in 3 minutes with an automatic weapon?
Yeah, in reality. So I talk about that. What to do. I talk about what to do while you wait for law enforcement to arrive. I talk about what to do after they get there, right? So you're not targeting yourself. I talk about how to respond. I can even offer basic, in the military we call it combat lifesaver training, right? But it's just basic stuff, how to put on a tourniquet, how to stop the bleeding, just immediate things that you can do
to help save somebody's
to help save somebody's life. We can, that's also an option for training as well. So, but the main thing, like I said, this active shooter response training is free, people. So if you can, if you need it for your church, for a school, for a business, if you have a bank,
free is good.
A bank building or a bank headquarters or whatever, yeah.
Well, because it's free, and on our website at southsidefirst.org, we offer free resources, links to free resources. So what we'll do is we'll put your active shooter training information on the resources page at southsidefirst.org. So anybody that's interested in that, check out 210 Tactical Advantage on your Facebook. Are you working on a website as well, or are you just?
I am working on a website right now. Yeah, I'm working on that right now. But in fact, I need some help with that. So we'll talk
we've
about
got
that.
a Wednesday workshop that we're having next Wednesday, actually, at MEG Bank. But anyway, tune in. Just check out southsidefirst.org for that as well. Because websites aren't expensive. I've heard too many people say, "Oh, I gave a guy $1,000 and he disappeared to do my website." So we'll have that out there for you, okay, and share that. So anything you put out there for active shooter training, if we see it, we'll share that on social as well. And so I'm thinking you need to give Women Unlimited an active shooter training class, just because.
That's a good idea. Yeah. So it is a free training, and it's good to know they can pass that information along wherever they go.
Word of mouth, right?
But yeah, perfect.
Okay, so real quick, so I said check out southsidefirst.org. We also have additional sponsorship opportunities at Southside First. So for the podcast, for our workshops, our events, our business fairs, if you're interested, if you own a business to get some more exposure, just email us at info@southsidefirst.org and we'll let you know about that. We'd love to share your business and get your support. And next week we have James Massey and Claudia Montalvo from CPS Energy. We're excited about that. And they're going to be here to talk to us about their supplier development program. So anybody who owns a business who wants to do business with CPS or any utility company, there's a process for doing that. So they're going to educate us about that. So we're excited. But thank you. We are out of time. Thank you for coming.
It's my pleasure. I appreciate the opportunity and just to help get the word out there. You know, like I said, I am a veteran-owned business and I'm just getting started. So I'm just trying to find people that can use this training, that need this training, and I think a good way in is to offer this free active shooter training, and then we follow it up with my other classes as well. So.
No, it sounds like a great business, especially with the active shooter training. I mean, that's a great inroad to people who are interested in more personal self-defense, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Just a real quick question. So if I want to do the firearms training, but I don't own a firearm, can I still come to your class? You have to own a firearm.
Well, so it is preferred.
If you own your own firearm. Well, obviously you need to get used to your own weapon.
You get used to your own weapon as well. But then at the end of this 4-hour class, we go out and we fire it. Now some ranges you can rent, handgun from them. But the downfall on that is
It's not your weapon.
It's not your weapon,
Right.
you know, you're not familiar with it at
Right.
all, and so it's preferred that you have your own,
Okay.
because that's what I'm teaching you to use is yours.
Yeah.
I teach you how to fire it, how to clean it, how to aim it, you
Get
know,
comfortable with it.
exactly,
Yeah.
how to hold it
Okay.
and everything like that. So
Okay.
yeah, it's preferred that you have your own.
Okay. Because I finally found a left-handed gun. Because you can't be shooting the gun and reaching over here and pressing the buttons.
Oh yeah.
Right. So
yeah.
anyway, but it's kind of expensive. So one of these days I'll be in your class. So.
Okay.
Okay, so thanks everybody for being with us this week. Sorry about the alarm that went off. I'll try to crop that out of the YouTube video.
Yeah.
And we will see you next week. James, thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.